The folks from across the street at the Visitor Center have written some poetry, and Judy is going to lead off and take it from there. Judy Geniak. Let's give them a big hand.
Okay. First, I just wanted to introduce Wes Ante. We've never done anything like this before, so we decided this would be kind of fun to try. So Wes, you want to come up and give it a try?
Okay, well, you can tell by my accent, I'm not from Southern Idaho. Southern someplace. Here, plus. What were the thoughts of the conquistador when the land left them starving, lost, and saddle sore? Was this the land of Don Quixote, or merely their graves out on a tall grass sea? What were the thoughts of the voyagers of the north as their bull boats pushed the frontier forth? Had they found a world where man was measured in the quality of fur, or only that to live a man needs the freedom of the wilderness and a trusty cur? What were the thoughts of the men of the cross, entering a land of plenty to preach of forgiveness and loss? Was he offering salvation to a populace that didn't see the need, or was he the silver lining of the oncoming cloud of avarice and greed? What did they think when the explorers saw their first Rocky Mountain peak? Had America found its western edge, or just a test to deter the meek? Were our fortunes to end at the pass of Limhi, or did they know that one day this would be an American sky? What did they think as the pioneer wheels rolled along their travel, oxen laboring over grass then sand, pulling through gravel? Go west, young man, was their rallying cry, promised a land of milk and honey where they wouldn't have to try. When the tide of humanity had washed over and began to recede back, the land was left to men of Stetsons, Colts, and tack. They returned to a land with the buffalo gone and drove their cattle into a new era's dawn. Vaquero, drover, gaucho, or buckaroo, here is my ode to you. Each man is born to his time and his place, but no matter the year, the West isn't the West without a hardened cowboy face.
I'm a greenhorn from Detroit, so trying this for my first time, I just thought I'd take you down the journey that I went through trying to figure out how do you write a cowboy poem. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to say at least put some cowboy words in there, so I looked up a cowboy dictionary that I didn't know was online, but there's quite a few of them. And I had some giggles going through that. I keep thinking about cowboy poetry as a kind of honey that is added to some bitters in life, and that just like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. I also think it helps us understand our history and helps us connect with what we're trying to learn about, which is one of the reasons why I'm interested in working with the Cowboy Society. So I went through that dictionary and I found some funny words, things like I didn't know onions had been called, I think, skunk eggs. And while I'm flipping through that, I was listening to the radio, and there was an interview with Norman Blake, a bluegrass musician, and they've been talking about the fact that he'd been married, then he got divorced, then he remarried the woman he had divorced. And the interviewer was really curious about that, and he said, "We like to say our divorce didn't work out." And I thought, that truly is what I think of as cowboy diplomacy, is how you phrase that. I also came across something that was very interesting, which I thought might have been one of the most historic text acronyms, where all the kids are texting today, and LOL, and I came across GTT. And it said that some of the Civil War soldiers, after the war had ended, had gone and carved some letters in their front door and just got up and left. And the letters were GTT, and it meant gone to Texas. So I thought that was really interesting that back in the Civil War they were texting. I just think this whole experience has showed me that life is full of learning, and it's also pretty funny. So here goes. I'm going to try this. So this is Ode to Ole Elmer Cook. Ole Elmer Cook rode his herd through the range, along the edge of the Snake River, of course. He looked down and found something quite strange. Sticking out of the dirt was the toe of a horse. He poked round in the dirt and found some old bones. They was from horses for sure, but why was they made out of stone? The wrangler was the curious sort. In Hagerman he pondered about who could consort. That USGS feller named Stearns. Maybe rock bones was something he'd done learned. Ole Elmer decided to cut dirt with that short, fat horse bone sticking out of his shirt. He reached the camp of that Stearns fella, and after riding through that big old black melon gravel, and told him something, set him a baffle. They talked round and round about it, Ole Elmer a-wishing aloud that he knowed someone else. They sat and ate their sup, then Stearns, he just fetched right on up. Stearns wrote a feller named Gridley. 'Twas a rattlin' dock of famous museum. Stearns told him an idea had poked into his mind, 'cause we got us a rip-snortin' find. Rock bones from a horse? Old James grimly, he fetched up his bags. He skedaddled from the Smithsonian Museum and was a-travelin' out west just to see 'em. Boy, howdy, was he impressed. 3 tons of them stones he did fetch. He done come back 3 more times, 'cause 'twas such a swell find. At the dig, something they hadn't forsook. Elmer's wife was paid actual to be the camp cook. Later, Gridley horse traded a bunch of them bones. Seemed like lots of museums now wanted some to own. As the years done flowed by, other big city folk came and let out their sighs. Acting like almost claim sitters, they roped in lots other stone bone critters. 'Twas some learning about them horses' bones begun. Old Cook scratched his head, and then the head of his son. Some odd stuff for sure, 'twas truly the fossils observed. The most he recalled, they was kinda like zebras, before zebras evolved. Old Cook never expected that all this would fetch in the future. Yep, on that piece of the range, he set off quite a spark. It became a national park. And then something happened that could make a man blushful. The Hagerman horse became the state fossil. And you know, he proved out much more than we thought. While we need our school marms and mothers, sometimes it's just dandy to learn from each other.